but I wanted to see if this was going to work. Can we flip this camera? Yes, we can. We got a box of Venomous right there, so I'm going to wait till the room fills in a bit. Now, I did this live kind of last minute a little bit, and we did it at a weird time. Usually we do the lives later on at night, so we're going to see if anybody fills in. If not, I'll just treat it like an episode. I'll talk like I always do and kind of give you guys some updates. I'm going to show you guys what we got from Chandler over there. Oh, we got one showing up already. Oh, here we go. We got him rolling in. Okay, everybody's rolling in. Joey, what's up? All right, Amanda is here. Lori, it's only showing one person's in here, but we got all these people. Okay, so maybe something's wrong with that. What's up? 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 All right. Hi, Bella. What's up, David? Blaine, Janet, Laura. Okay, now it's starting to show that we got people here. Okay, what's up, my friends, dudes and dudettes? So, if you didn't catch the beginning of that, I'm going to treat this kind of like an episode / live. What up, everybody? I'm going to say that one more time, and I'm going to scroll. We're going to do like a little mini episode thing, and then we're going to do a couple of updates of what's been going on with me, the park, what we got going on next week, and then I want to show you guys something as well, and it's going to lead into talking a little bit more about the free handling of Venomous and some other things that we're going to go into today. We're going to have a little bit of fun, but I hope everybody's having a good day. We did the live a little bit earlier than we usually do. I said that in the beginning of the live, so for anybody that's rewatching this afterwards, I apologize for the repetitiveness, but wanted everybody to know we did this kind of like in the middle of the day. I wanted to see if everybody from the other side of the pond could get in on the action. Some people miss the lives because of the time that we do it. We usually do it later in the evening, so I wanted to see if this kind of helped a little bit. That jeweler guy said, still no news from the DEC. New York's the worst. Oh boy. New York is the tough state. If you're doing anything with animals, New York is a tough state. I know back in the day when we were going to do a show in New York, we had some stuff scheduled and we weren't even allowed over there with the animals that we had, not even with a day pass. A lot of the times when we go and travel to do these shows, like say we go to Montana or we go to South Dakota or we go to Mississippi, we have to get a pass from agricultural from every single state that we pass through that's basically saying, hey, this is what we have with us, this is where we're traveling this, and this is why we're doing it. So New York is a very tough state. So you're going to have to sit on that for a bit. Chad Anthony sent, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. He sent over a little bit of, I don't know if that's a message or not. I think there's like new picture sticker things. Do you know anything about that? The little doohickeys or whatever, some balloons and stuff like that. I appreciate that very much. All right, so I went and saw Chandler the other day. So we got to catch up a little bit. Chandler's doing awesome. For anybody that was worried about Chandler over there, he's doing phenomenal. The park is okay. Everybody's okay over there. The people are okay. The animals are okay. Everybody's been good. But I went and I wanted to see Chandler because I hadn't seen him in a while. I mean, me, Tyler, Pepe, Alex, Duff, whatever you guys want to call him. He's a man by many names. We're going to see Duff probably on Monday or Tuesday because he's out of town and we got to go treat his rattlesnake. But Tyler, Chandler, myself, Troy, Lewis, all my people, Blake, basically everybody that I know down here, Mark, like everybody. I have not got to see anybody just because of the fact that everybody kind of moved at the same time and everybody started building at the same time. And everybody started getting into, their own parks at the same time. So we really haven't had the chance to get together, to see each other. We talk often, but we haven't been able to like hang out, especially as a group. And Chandler really wants to do a podcast with all of us. We're going to hop on there. Tyler's game for it as far as I know. Then we're going to get Pepe on there too. Duff, Alex, whatever you want to call him. I don't even know what name to go with. And we're going to get on that podcast and kind of get together with everybody, which will be fun for me because we can talk about some certain things that we want to talk about and we want to get out there to everybody. And then also it's a good chance for us all to get back together and kind of hang out. But while I was at Chandler's house visiting his donkeys, his camels over there, Camille and Timmy, Mr. Timmy, who are hilarious. These things are absolutely phenomenal. Had a great time with them. And then we kind of just went around and we visited Justina, pulled her out. I helped him clean some cages and stuff like that. He's got to kind of stay out of the sun and take it easy right now because of his heart medication and all that good stuff. But Chandler's doing okay. But Chandler did something very nice for me. Hold on, I got a little little tag here. Let me just stop for a second. I apologize. We had a few sea lion break. Well, let me learn how to read for a second. Rob Stang, 2010 says we had a few sea lions break out of their enclosures at the Prospect Park Zoo yesterday because all the rain and flooding in New York City. Holy smokes! Did you guys get those back? I'm gonna see if he responds to that. Well, I'm assuming if they broke out of their enclosures, they were probably still inside the park. And my father did sea lions when I was growing up. That's like the whole reason that I'm here. My father trained the sea lions. My uncle worked with the other stuff over at the Miami Sea Aquarium. And that's how we kind of got into the animal world, was my father. And the sea lions are no joke. They could be really, really good, but they could do a lot of damage if they want to. So that's an animal that I don't think I would want roaming around unless it was one of my own sea lions. But back to what I was saying before. We'll see if he comes back with a response for that. Back to what I was saying before. While we were at Chandler's, we were cleaning some stuff out, and he had a bunch of Rob Stang's 2010. He said, yeah, they did recover those. But still, that's an interesting day. Never gets bored in the animal industry. That'll never happen. No boring days. No times off. Literally every single day is work, 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 work. So when I was at Chandler's house, we did a lot of that. We did a lot of work. And he was laughing because I didn't bring you here for work and this and that. But I do love the reptiles. And being over here at the house, the reptile room is next. So I haven't really had, like, I have some reptiles, but I don't have anywhere close to the amount of reptiles that I used to have, especially when it comes to the venomous stuff. So, of course, for me, I'm in heaven. Chandler's thinking, oh, well, you don't have to do all this work. Let's just hang out. And I'm like, let's do the work because I want to do the work. So when doing so, Chandler had bestowed upon me a few gifts. So while Chandler was gone in India, and while he was dealing with the bite and all that stuff in the hospital and taking care of himself, making sure he was good, he had some. Hold on one second. Sorry. Yeah, it's the dizzy shit. Oh man, I was gonna do a whole live without cursing, and I just ruined it. Boy. I was going to try and get through a whole thing without saying one curse word. Apparently, I'm terrible at that. Anyway, I'm going to hand the phone to Brooke. I'm going to flip the screen real quick. But Chandler was nice enough to bestow upon me something that he was surprised with, because when he was in the hospital, he had figured out that some of his snakes had some babies. So a snake that I had given Tyler a couple years back, one of the Christmas phase eyelash vipers, was paired up with one of Chandler's snakes for a little while. And he thought they were going to go. They didn't drop. He thought she was going to drop months before, and then while he was in the hospital, out came these babies. So on top of that, he also gave me another snake, which I was super happy to have. Number one, because it's sentimental, because it's from Chandler, so I get to keep some snakes from Chandler, just like they have some of my snakes, and Tyler's got some of my snakes. Now we all have some of our snakes, and it's nice to have your buddy's stuff, and especially when it's captive born and bred and produced, it really gives it a different baby. A golden baby, Melissa already knows. So I'm going to flip this around real quick, and I'll have Brooke show. And I just fed these guys the other day. And no, this is not where they're staying. We're going to set them up. This is technically the Venomous room. In Florida, we have to have... how do you open this stupid thing? In Florida, we have to have the escape-proof room. So that means that nothing can get through the windows, so we do that. And then the vents and stuff are blocked off. This little thing right here is screwed shut, so nothing can get out. And then, but it's also supposed to say warning, but somebody ripped my warning off of there, so I'm gonna have to put that back on there. It's supposed to say warning, venomous reptiles, or danger, venomous reptiles, one of the two, which... Well, it's already out there, so now they know. Where's my warning sign? I'm gonna write it in red marker before I get off the screen. Okay, so these guys are gonna get set up. I'm probably gonna set them up after we get done with the live today. Believe it or not, the way that they are right now is actually easier when they're babies. So we have this little one right here, which I wanna clean anyway. Give me one of those little tubs over there. You don't have to go across the room. It's not gonna launch out at you. Give me one of the bins real quick. So honestly, with this little guy right here,
okay,
this is one of the eyelash vipers. I'm not gonna get you bit. So.
I know. Safety first. Safety first, pal.
Yeah, safety first. Okay. So I'll get this water stuff out. Believe it or not, like this right here is actually not much different than how I'm gonna set the snake up for the first probably about 8 months of its life. So it's going to be set up with just a little mesh thing. It's good for them to curl up on. He's already had a shed. And I was tease feeding or trying to tease feed when I first got him, which is a good way to get them on rodents, but it's kind of a pain in the butt and it can be a little stressful on your snakes if you don't know what you're doing. So what I did was I tried for a little bit, but I had just gotten them and it's just a tiny little baby too, so I didn't want to mess with them too much. So I went outside and I got a little anole, and I know as much as I don't like to feed anoles or anything like that, or anything live for that matter, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Everybody has to eat, and some snakes just don't like frozen thawed right off the rip. So we're gonna switch this guy over to rodents soon enough. There's a little piece of a rodent sitting right there, but when I do it, I'll usually use a little foot or a little head of a pinky, and then I'll tease feed him. And what tease feeding is basically where I'm going to tap on his coil right next to his face, get him angry enough to bite, and the idea is that he bites and it's a large enough piece where it kind of gets stuck in his mouth. Once it gets stuck in his mouth, he's only got one way to go. So rather than tossing it up, if it's stuck enough, they'll try and thrash back and forth, get that food out. Once they realize that it's stuck in there, the only other way to go is down the gullet, and that's how you get them started on the pinky parts and things like that. But you got to use small parts. Usually for me, I like to get a pair of scissors, and I usually like to get like a little side chunk of a leg so that it can grab the foot, get stuck, and there's a little piece of the leg in there, and then that comes back and they can swallow that. So I'll do like 4 legs, and then when they're big enough, like this size is big enough already to take down a full head. He took down a full anole. You can see he's got a full belly right in there, and this was just a couple of days ago. Now, back to the little guy right here. So this is a golden eyelash viper, and they're variable species, which basically means that this guy, you know, when they produce, it could be any color that you have. Like they paired up a Christmas phase, which is basically a green eyelash viper with a golden eyelash viper, and the female popped out. Every single one of them was a golden baby. I think he had like 15 or 16 babies, which is pretty big for a large, for a first litter of snakes. And I say litter, some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about, some of you guys don't. So we have clutches and we have we have livers. So with the vipers and a lot of different snakes, so we're gonna go into this in one of the episodes. We're gonna talk about oviviparous, oh man, am I gonna forget the names of this stuff? Oviparous, oviviparous, I'm probably saying those wrong. We're going to get into it, but there's a couple of different things with basically where these animals will either have live young or they will lay a clutch of eggs. And there's one more where I believe there's eggs on the inside, but then they hatch on the inside, if I'm correct on that. But don't quote me on that. But we're going to go into what snakes do what, how they breed, how they produce. We're going to do an episode fully on that. And we're going to use the little viper as an example here. Now, this little guy, I'll turn around and get angry. This little guy is probably, I'd say, a couple of weeks old, just a little tiny guy. But if he bit you, again, you'd be in some serious pain. You're gonna have some swelling. You're probably gonna need to go to the hospital. Not a bite that I really want to find out what it is or how it is. I've never been on the other end of an eyelash viper. I don't plan to be on the other end of an eyelash viper. But again, I don't recommend that anybody replicates anything that I do with the little noodles here, especially the little death noodles that we have. But I thought that was pretty cool. Real quick, we'll put him back. I'm going to change this out and change the water. But like I said, I'm probably gonna set him up pretty much the same. We're just gonna get him out of the container now that we know that he's eating. And I'll probably use like a little critter keeper, which you can pick up at any pet store for like 15, 20 bucks, something like that. And you can get one that's, I don't think I have any in here. You can get a couple of different sizes, and we're gonna pretty much set it up the same way. Water on the bottom, just a little tiny bit of water, and then on top we'll put some of this, and then we'll also put some plants and stuff like that that it can hide in. And then we'll start to stretch out the cage and make it a bigger enclosure and do a bioactive later on when it's a little bit older, like again about 8 to 9 months. We'll probably do a whole exoterra with the whole waterfall, water, misters, the whole 9 yards. But for right now, with the critter keeper, with the water on the bottom, it holds humidity. This doesn't only work for arboreal vipers, it works for your arboreal snakes as well. So when you get baby emerald tree boas, baby green tree pythons, baby Amazon tree boas, any of those arboreal snakes that are non-venomous or venomous, it's a good way to keep them, especially when you get the forest ones that aren't going to do well in high heat areas. So you want to keep the humidity, but you also want to keep it cool. So when we keep it cool inside the house, the issue becomes is that you have the AC running, which is going to dry everything out, which is why a lot of the desert animals like the bearded dragon over here and all that good stuff is inside the house, because the AC dries it out, and then we just pound them with extra heat when we want a dry animal. But for something like this, where you want it like 74, 76 degrees tops, and even that, like I'd rather have it sitting at 74, 75 ambient temperature, because these guys are going to be sitting in the trees. They're not going to be in the direct sunlight. They're going to get sunlight, so they can benefit from UVB, which I wanted to touch on a little bit. A lot of people have asked lately, should they use UVB with the snakes? And technically with monitors and snakes, you don't need UVB because of the food that they eat. When you're getting whole meal or whole prey items, you're getting the calcium, you're getting from the liver, you're getting vitamin D3 from the liver, especially if they're eating large rodents and things like that. So the larger snakes and some of your monitors and things like that don't necessarily need the UVB, but everything, including ourselves, benefits from natural sunlight. So if you're anemic, they'll tell you to go sit out in the sun, or they'll give you like some vitamin D pills, but you get that from the sunlight. So any single species of reptile or animal for that matter, anything benefits from the sunlight as long as you're doing it correctly. Now these guys, like I said, 74 degrees, 75 tops, 76 tops. I like to keep mine like 72 to 74. They do really well there. And like I said, it's easier to keep the humidity with that critter keeper and a little bit of water at the bottom, and just have it like that so they can drink when they want to, and then also they have the ability to kind of move around a little bit more than they do inside the little transport container and all that good stuff. But we'll put some UVB on there as well, because it only helps them grow, it only keeps everything stronger. The second little noodle that I got is always one of my favorites. Super common with venomous keepers. This is usually like one of the first snakes that any venomous keeper gets. It's always a gaboon or a monocle cobra. And this was one of Chandler's. I believe he said it was het for, I want to say it was het for albino. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't even expect this one. Like, I knew I was going over and I was going to pick up the eyelash, but I did not know I was going to go get this little angry noodle right here. And this one was a real pretty one. It's a regular monocle cobra as far as the color goes. It does have that het for albino, I do believe, or sunset or something like that. But I'm not worried about that. I just like the cobras. I like the snake. Monocle cobra, of course, for anybody that doesn't know, they call it the monocle cobra because, let's see if we can get him to, you're going to be nice today, of course. Oh, there's a little fan right there. So the monocle cobra is because he's got the little circle right on his back there, which is like a monocle. A monocle is the little thing they wear on the eyes, think I'm the Monopoly guy. Unless you do the Mandela effect thing, then one of the Monopoly guys has that and one of the Monopoly guys doesn't. And then you have your spec cobra, the spectacle Indian cobra, which is the one that Chandler got bit by actually, that has the double. So it has two, it's got a little U and then two eyes. And it's basically when they fan out, a cobra, most cobras, except for like forest cobras are really good at hooding up and kind of moving around. King cobras can hood up and move at the same time. Generally speaking, when you have like a spec cobra, a monocle cobra, an Ethiopian, a snouted, a bunch of different kinds, when they hood up like that in their defensive posture, they leave themselves a little bit of a weak spot, because what ends up happening is that they'll be stuck where they are and they can really only strike down. So when he's hooded up, he's going to be striking in a downward position. I don't think this guy's really going to hood up. He's kind of sweet. But that monocle keeps him safe. So his defensive posture in the front is to make himself look bigger. He fans himself up and he puts that hood out, and then anything that's coming from the back end is going to see the big old circle on his on the back of his hood there. So it looks like an eyeball, the same as the specs. It looks like two eyes. So it's just something to make them look a little bit bigger from the back end, because when they do their defensive posture, they're putting themselves at risk from the back end. So the bodies have developed through time and evolution. They have developed. You're not going to head up at all. You don't care. You don't care at all, little guy. They develop. Are you going to come with? How about now? How about now? Nothing? Nothing, little guy? So the evolution is basically given them, it's just like the owls. They have the tufts on the sides and the tufts on the back to make themselves look bigger. It's all for predatory purposes so that these guys don't get beat up in the wild. There you go, there's a little hood there. Look,
now I can see it.
we're doing a mini free handle. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't suggest that anybody do this at home or with any snakes. I've been doing this for far too long, and especially with the whole thing that happened with Chandler, we want everybody to be safe out there and not get bit. But I did want to share with you guys what Chandler had given to me, the little guy. Not much of a hooder, he's kind of a sweet snake, we'll put him back. And this guy, since the cobras are a little bit different, these guys need a little bit more as far as the heat goes. They can't sit in like 72. They can, but you can use it as a temperature gradient, and then you're gonna want, most definitely, yes, Mama? You need what?
They're in your room.
So, what was it saying? I don't remember what I was saying, my little munchkin ran in here. So the cobras, oh yeah, you can use 72 degrees as like a temperature gradient, and you can have that on the cool end. Not recommended, it's not what I would do with the little guys. I'll set those guys up, and I usually like to have those guys somewhere around 78 to 80 degrees in the warm end, maybe even a little basking spot for them. And definitely a hide box that cobras 100% like to hide. And in Florida, it's funny too. I'll show you this too. Like we just unpacked these the other day, and they're about ready to go into their new enclosures. But we got 2 bags, and then basically what we do is that we'll put this one on top of this one. We tape them up real good. We tape the rims of everything, and then we tape over the top, and then we tape over the top the other way in like a cross way, and then we do 1 bag, tie it up, 2 bags, tie it up, and then we go with the box over the top, and then on top of that, we lock the box. And then that box has to be labeled danger venomous reptiles, just like everything else. And that's how we transport animals or venomous animals here in Florida. That is the law. That's how we have to do it. And then on top of that, we do the transfer of permits. So when I go to Chandler's house, if I pick up something like this, even though it's a gift and I'm not buying it, basically I go there with my permits, he goes with his permits, and we make copies of those. I take a copy of his, he takes a copy of my permit, and then we write down basically what we got. So we'll put the common name, the scientific name, how many we got. And for those that don't know, if you've ever seen 1.1.1, we'll just use that as an example. 1.1.1, that means 1 male, 1 female, and 1 unsexed. So if you see 0.0.3, that means you have 3 snakes that are unsexed. So the first one is male, the second one is female, the third one is for unsexed individuals. So if you ever see that, 1.0, 0.1, 0.0.1, that's what they're referring to. So we'll put that on there as well, so that we can let everybody know what we're carrying around, how we're carrying it, and basically that is law here in Florida. So that's how we log our venomous reptiles. All right, I'm gonna flip the screen back around, and then we're gonna do some updates, and I'll be able to talk to you guys. Here we go, hold on. Hola. Great, now I gotta stare at my ugly mug. Okay. Is it a male first because we are better? That was Alan that said that. What do you think?
No.
Yes, 100%. I want to say yes, but at the same time, I'll get beat up. So, no. The women are better. That's why they come second. You always got to save the best for last. All right, so a little update, my friends. For all you guys out there on the Patreon, I want to thank you guys again for everything that you guys do. I got a couple of things that were ready to get sent out. We sent a couple of things out. Bill, I don't know if Bill's on here today. He may be on here, but if he is on here, I got something for you going out on Monday as well. Finally finished up. I really want to post a picture of it, but at the same time, I want it to be a surprise. So that's going to be over there soon. Everybody else, you guys are going to get your stickers soon. If you're on Patreon and you haven't gone and PM'd me, or DM'd me, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't gone into the messages and sent your, oh, Bill's here. What's up? If you haven't sent your address and you want to get some stickers and some cool stuff, go ahead and do that when you get a chance. And then Monday, we're going to send the rest of that stuff out. Katie was nice enough. She got some goodie bags with like Bite Force emblems and stuff on there. And then we're going to be getting some of these shirts. And then I think we'll also have some of the cups and stuff like that. So we're going to have a couple of different goodies, and we're going to be doing some games on the Patreon. We're going to be doing some games on the YouTube as well. And we're going to try and keep that flowing. and keep everything going. Now, here's the part that sucks, ladies and gentlemen. So I made a post the other day, and I had goals. I've set goals for the whole social media thing, and I've set goals for the park as well. The park, no matter what, every single day we build, we clean, we feed, we do all that stuff. We make sure the animals are taken care of. That has to be done. There is no ins and outs. There is no way around it. There's no gray area. There's no days off. We can't do it. Now, it kind of sucks in some senses because if I'm not feeling well, it doesn't make a difference. I still have to go out and do what I do. So I had set some goals like Facebook. A lot of people have been on there watching that. We post every single day on Facebook, whether it's just a picture, a reel, or an update, or whatever it is. We're constantly doing something on Facebook. YouTube, I wanted a video twice a week by now. So we're going to be putting an episode out tomorrow on Kiwi, her enclosure, upkeep on those guys, the Tamandua, basically a bunch of different stuff over as far as the Tamandua goes, the anteaters, and then we have a male coming in next week as well. So we're going to be doing an episode on her tomorrow to get the double digit in for the week. Now, I wanted to do the 2 videos a week, and this is what ended up happening. So last week we did a live, and I let you guys know that wasn't feeling so great. I had issues with being dizzy, kind of off balance. My vision was blurred. If I looked up and or left, or if I rolled over and was on my left-hand side, like in bed or anything like that, the world would spin. And I've had vertigo before, so I figured it was vertigo. We went to the doctors. They gave some meds. And since I've been taking the meds, there is one med for like the dizzy spell thing or whatever, and it kind of works for like maybe an hour, and then the rest of the day I'm just dealing with doing work and being dizzy at the same time. So I have to be careful. I have to make sure that I don't fall. I have to make sure that I'm not working with anything extremely dangerous so that I don't die. And then also, it's just a lot of every time I get up, I get lightheaded. If I look up, I'm lightheaded. The world's spinning, and I'm trying to build enclosures and lift heavy things and do this pretty much on my own. Although I have had my father come over quite a few times to help me out with some of this, with the animals and building and all that stuff. So yesterday, was it yesterday? 2 days ago. Thursday. Whatever, I don't even know what day it is anymore. So Thursday, this is what happens. We got done. We were doing stuff in Kiwi's enclosure, building our little nest box, and it started to rain. My pops left, and I wanted to get a branch for Bimini. And so I got the chainsaw out. I started walking around the property, and I wanted to get the perfect branch. I wanted the perfect branch for Bimini. Now, there was a lot of low-hanging branches that I could have taken, but nothing that I really liked, nothing that interests me. But I saw this one branch kind of up there in one of the big oak trees, and I wanted the branch. I thought it would be perfect for her. It would be heavy enough to kind of lay down. It would kind of be heavy enough to wedge against the nest box without falling, and it also had a Y at the end of it, which is what I was looking for, because then it keeps it from rolling, shaking, so I don't hurt the animal. That's the biggest thing when adding anything into any enclosure, whether it's enrichment or whether it's a habitat thing. When you're building a habitat, you always have to pay attention to the enrichment that you add or the habitat and the stuff that you put in there, because a lot of times, and we've had this problem before, where people do enrichment and they'll put chains or whatever it may be, and you don't realize that the animals themselves, just like us, if you have a chain that spins and gets twisted and a hand gets caught in there, you can have an animal lose a hand. You can have an animal hang themselves. You can have an animal ingest things that you don't want them to ingest. So you really have to be picky and choosy about what you're putting in your enclosures, what you use, how you use it. And that way, like if I put a stick, a big branch inside a Kiwi's enclosure and it's not secure in any way, shape, or form, and she goes on it and it rolls over and falls on her, then she could get hurt. She could break some bones. She could die. So we have to be really careful about that. So I wanted this branch. And I had already been working from it was probably 6:30, 7 o'clock by the time I got outside to start building. And this arm, since I'm right-handed, you can see there's no bicep. I'll show you. Like there's a bicep, and then there's no bicep. There's just it's a little wing, a little chicken wing. So after hammering for hours with the U-nails and using the drill. This arm does get tired because there is no bicep there. It's just those two tendons right there that you see that kind of look like something I'm not going to say because I told people that I wouldn't use my mouth the way that I usually do. But yeah, you get where I'm going with that. So those are two tendons right there. That's basically what lifts my hand. And when there's Katie right there twinning because she has some skin grafts too. So we got the little twin arms going on. But I don't have any muscle there. So when I do like hammer, drill, lifting a bunch of stuff, after a while it does start to get sore, and then it does get to the point where it doesn't work as good as it did at the beginning of the day. So oh, wait, there we go. Amanda Lynn, we got something here popped up. Let me read this real quick and I'll go back into it. Just re-signed up as a tier 4 Patreon member. Super excited to see what content you create. Thank you, Amanda Lynn. I think it's been a while since I've seen your name, but that's my fault. That's not your fault. That's my fault because I haven't been doing much. But yeah, Amanda, we are back and glad to have you back. Thank you so much. We appreciate it more than you know. And Amanda, if you want some of the stickers, go to the DMs on the Patreon, send me the address, and we'll send those out with everybody else's. Thank you very much. Mucho gracias. All right, so back to it. So basically the arm was donezo by the end of the day. My pops had left. He thought it was going to rain. I wanted to finish what I had going on. I wanted the branch. So I went out there. I got on top of the ladder with the chainsaw in my good hand, and I'm fully extended with the chainsaw trying to get the branch down, and the ladder kicks out to the right. My feet kick out to the right, and then down I go. So I was parallel to the ground at about 10 feet in the air, and I'm like 230 pounds. So all 230 pounds of me came crashing to the floor, and I hit just my back enough to black out for a couple of seconds, saw some stars, but then I got up quickly and looked around because I wanted to make sure that nobody saw my dumb ass fall out of the tree with a chainsaw in my hand. So I didn't think much of it. I went back to work. I finished up. I got the branch that I wanted. I did all that nonsense. And then I went upstairs, took a shower, and decided that I should probably take it easy for the rest of the night. So I laid down, and somewhere around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I was having a dream. And it was a funny dream because I kept dreaming that I couldn't breathe. And for those that don't know, I have a twin brother, and my twin brother and I both grew up with asthma when we were young. So from the ages of when we were born all the way until 16, and we were hospitalized multiple times for the asthma. We had really, really bad asthma growing up. At about 16 years old, I didn't have to use an inhaler anymore. The asthma kind of did its thing. My brother still to this day uses an inhaler. He has issues with the asthma. So I had this dream that I couldn't breathe. I woke up and I couldn't breathe. So I thought maybe it was like, maybe I'm having an asthma attack, and then maybe some of my extracurricular activities that we talked about on the last live or whatever, maybe that's affecting the lungs a little bit, so maybe we should chill on that. So I got up and went to the bathroom, kind of went downstairs, get a drink, went back upstairs, still couldn't really breathe, but went back to sleep, didn't think much of it, but then kept having that same dream. I can't breathe, and then I'd wake up and I couldn't breathe. So in the morning, I finally got up at like 5:36. I couldn't fight it anymore. So at 5:36, I got up and I couldn't breathe for snot. So I went out and I went downstairs and I started walking around, and I had called my brother because I was going to literally leave here, drive 2 hours, and I was going to go get his inhaler because I know he's got one, and I was going to use that. That's how bad it was. But after about 20 minutes, I could breathe just fine. So I was like, snot. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to curse for the rest of the time. I'm not. So I was like, dude, it's got to be from the fall. And I didn't think anything of it. Now, when I woke up in the morning, I will say that my body felt like it had been massaged by a sledgehammer. So there was that. So like my right side ribs were terrible. They still are terrible. It's super, super painful. And then my lower back has always had issues, but it was worse. And then my neck and my head was just cranking out a headache, but I could breathe again. So I'm thinking, okay, I hit, maybe I busted a rib, maybe I poked a lung, maybe I should go to the hospital. I don't know if you guys know me or not, but for those that do, you know that if you want me to go to the hospital, I could be missing body parts, and you literally would have to use a tranq gun, shoot me, and drag me to the hospital to get me there. There is nothing I hate more than going to the hospital. But this one was on my own. This one I was like, okay, we're going to have to go to the hospital. So I took care of all the animals. We fed everybody. And then, and then I went to the hospital. So I get into the hospital. I'm by myself. I walk in there and I let the lady know. She asked me at the front desk, "What are you here for?" And I had to laugh a little bit. I was like, I fell out of a tree. So the lady's looking at me as if I'm joking, and I was like, "No, seriously, I fell out of a tree. Like, my back hurts, I can't breathe, like, I need to get all this checked out." So the lady came in, the doctor came in, and she basically said that she wanted to do a brain scan, CT, even though I told her that I don't think that I had hit my head, but I did have a headache. But I explained to her that I had went last week, I had vertigo, and that I've had a headache with the vertigo and all that stuff. I don't think that I hit my head, but she still ordered brain CT because she wanted to see if there was anything going on just in case. She also ordered a CT scan on my lower back. Then they ordered some x-rays on my ribs. So we go, we take care of all that stuff. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I got like a broken rib. Maybe it's putting pressure against my lung. Maybe that's why I can't breathe, the whole 9 yards. And so after all the CTs are done, all the scans are done, and they took my hat off too, and I look like Charles Manson inside the hospital because I don't have a haircut, and it's like crazy Cuban fro right now, like really crazy Cuban fro, and they made me take that hat off to do the CT scans and all that stuff. So I'm sure I terrified everybody. But needless to say, long story short that I've already made long, I'm sitting in the waiting room waiting for the results. They were going to come and tell me what was going on. As soon as they told me what was going on, I could be on my way. So I'm in there, the lady comes over, and the first thing she does is they got the scans first, and they were waiting on the x-rays. So they came to tell me about the scans. She said, "Your brain scan is good. Brain scan, nothing's wrong with your brain scan. Your lower back, I have a bulged disc," which I pretty much knew that my lower back was already fudged up. I told her my lower back was part of the injury of the fall, but it's been like that, so I kind of just wanted to check that out, see what was going on. So I have a bulged disc, which is no surprise, which is why when I work all day long, it's really hard for me to like get out of a bed or like whatever. I have to do like this turtle roll off the bed and like kind of like a worm, just like worm myself off the bed because I can't just get straight up. So I already knew that. Then she told me that my brain scans were good. However, I have a cyst in my sinus cavity on the left side of my face, like right under my eye. So right about here, I have a cyst, and that is what's causing my dizziness. That's why I have blurred vision. That's why I can't lift my head up. Now I can't look up, down, left, right. Anywhere I go, I have to make sure I turn my head slowly or do things slowly because everything gets blurry and everything starts to spin real fast. So that's why I have the issue. So the medication that the lady gave me at the other doctors would have never done anything. And it's funny to think that if my dumb, I'm not going to say it. If how can I say it without saying it? If I wasn't so stupid and I wasn't in the tree after a long day with my special arm fully extended in a chainsaw and I didn't bust my butt the way that I did, I don't know how long it would have taken to figure out that there's a cyst here, which could actually turn into something else. Hopefully it doesn't. It's going to need surgery to get removed. Like she had already let me know, like you're going to need surgery 150%. Stop taking the medication you're taking, except for the stuff for the nausea and the dizziness. And, but I'm going to have surgery to remove that. The best part is I have alligator shows and a bunch of other shows coming up in November. So if I don't get it done by then I'm going to have to contend with doing alligator shows while I'm not all there, which is not super exciting for me. It's not something I want to do. So we're going to try and take care of that beforehand, which kind of sucks because we've been trying to kick butt at the social media. We really want to do a better job at the YouTube. We really want to keep things rolling. We really want to push through and try and make the channel something a little bit better. Not that it's terrible or anything like that. We just want to stay on top of things and be able to do more and more episodes and kind of build as we build the park and kind of bring you guys along with us. And it's really hard to do when we have all these issues. So we're going to try and figure that out. Alan asks if insurance covers that. This guy right here does not have insurance. We've been looking. A lot of people don't really want to insure the guy that puts his face inside alligators' mouths. Shockingly enough. Life insurance too. They said they'd cover anything except for if I died from a snake, an alligator, or an animal, then the family would get no payout, which for me was ridiculous because I was like, well, that's probably how I'm going to go sometime in my old age. It'll be some sort of animal or something like that. So if you're not going to pay for that, there's no reason. So no insurance for that. So we're going to try to figure that out. But at any rate, yeah, so we went there. Then they came back with my x-rays, last part, and then we're going to end this little segment here, and then we'll get to some questions. But yeah, so last part was the x-rays of the ribs, and they finally had gotten those back and allowed me to go home. They brought me 2 little discs so that I could go to the orthopedic if I wanted to about my back, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to do what I always do and ignore that. And then I'm going to go to the ENT with the disc, with the little image of the cyst in my face, so I can get that taken care of, because I can't keep with the dizzy stuff. It's miserable. But my ribs are basically, they're not obliterated, but they're super swollen. So I basically got a bunch of inflammation, bruised ribs, which is not fun. It's not extremely fun, especially when you're extending and still doing work and all that stuff, which I had done all morning long, in a lot of pain. But here's the best part. The kicker is that after all that was done and said, and she came in, she's like, you don't have any broken ribs, you got a lot of inflammation, and so you basically bruised your ribs, but you also have a kidney stone. So I got to learn that I had a kidney stone as well. So we really killed it yesterday at the hospital. So if I hadn't fallen out of the tree, I wouldn't have known, which, I don't want to get too personal with things, as far as how my nighttime bathroom behavior has been, but I knew there was something a little off going on there. I just didn't know what it was, and I really didn't want to go find out, because I'm always terrified they're going to tell me that I have some crazy disease or I have cancer or whatever the case may be. Oh, here she is. Boss Bird. Sounds like bruised ribs and I don't know what else it says. There's a little cute puppy with a heart blocking the last one. Sounds like bruised ribs, and I can see C-O-N, and then I can see ... afterwards. Cute little sticker. But yeah, so I got the bruised ribs and a good old kidney stone. But the moral of the story is, my friends, go outside, fall out of a tree. That way you could find out what you have going on with your medical health. You really, 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 really need to bust your butt out of a tree. That way you just know all across the board what you got going on with your body. Stay healthy, my friends. All right, so that ends that part of the story as far as the updates go. On my medical health, we're going to try and get through it the best that we possibly can. It has been what's up, Bonnie? It's been absolutely miserable with the whole dizzy stuff. Like, it's not fun to work like that. The pain, I could take that all day long. I don't care about the pain at all. I'll work through that any day of the week. I've always done that. But the dizzy stuff, that is for the birds, 150%. All right, now that we've been rambling on for a solid 42 minutes, let's see if we can end this in an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if anybody's got any questions, concerns, anything like that, you guys are more than welcome to fire away. Oh, real quick before we do that, so we got most of the enclosures built. We got an inspection coming along the way that we were already supposed to have that we haven't had yet. That's my fault, not FWC's fault. That's my fault. And there's some stuff that I do want to talk about. I'm not going to do it in this live. I think we'll do it next week. But there is some stuff that I want to talk about what certain people have been saying about the state, my state, about FWC, about USARK Florida, things like that. I don't want to ruffle feathers in the wrong way, and I don't want to get too political about the whole situation, but there is some things that I do want to say, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for the state being what it was, and for all that I've been through with the state, then I would not be able to be in the career that I'm in. And I'm not saying that I agree with everything that they do, but I do think that there is some things that need to be said and need to be talked about, especially about certain people within FWC and the state itself, especially from this stuff that comes from outside of our state, from people that don't deal with these people, that make it worse for us inside the state, from posting things all the way from threats down to threatening these people's families and all that stuff. So I do want to talk about that. I want to get more into talking about the hate that we catch for the stuff that we do. And when I say we, I mean everybody that's like me, that deals with, like my buddy Dexter, that deals with the Bears, and Chandler, that deals with the same stuff that I do, Tyler, all these people that do these educational things and shows and work with dangerous wildlife and the hate that we catch. I do want to talk about that as well. So we're going to talk about all that and a little bit more on a live next week. And then again tomorrow, keep an eye out for Kiwi's post. And then she'll have a boyfriend, I think, next week, ladies and gentlemen. So that's excited. All right, Mr. and Mrs. and over 5. with a little boss sticker. It says celebrate the first super sticker from Mr. and Mrs. I think that's just coming from YouTube itself. But thank you. Cassandra King says, I'm the same way. I'll avoid something minor because in my mind they're going to tell me I'm dying. Cassandra, I feel you 150%. Trust me, the PTSD. Everybody thinks that because I have PTSD, it means that I'm terrified of alligators because that's where my PTSD started, from this little bugger right here. But it's quite the opposite. Nope, not at all. I'm not afraid of the alligators now. It's just realizing your mortality. And it's not, it's not necessarily that, I think I'm going to die from an alligator. It's more so that I think that exactly what you said. I could have a cold and I don't want to go to the hospital because I'll think they'll tell me that I have colon cancer or something like that. All right, so we got Alan Malone over here, sent over 20 bucks. Thank you very much. Or euros, I should say. It's got that weird, I think that's euros. Don't make fun of me if not, Alan. Don't do it. All right, so Alan says it's not sure if it's legal, but I could send meds from here if it's cheaper. Also, sort sweet box out for the girls this week. I'm going to talk to the girls. I'll see which ones they like the best from that little area over there that you had. I think they pretty much liked all the candy, my dude. It's pounds. I knew I was going to be wrong. Damn it. I really got to learn my squiggly lines. Don't say like you knew what it was. You barely know what a cash symbol is over there. It's true. That's an S with 2 lines in your book. That's United States in your book. Okay there, pal? Peanut gallery. All right, so Alan, I'll talk to you. I don't think it's legal to send meds over, but I'm pretty sure people have sent far worse in the mail. All right. Anybody else got any questions or anything like that? Let me see what we got here. Doesn't Florida have medical usage legalized as far as weed? Is that what you're talking about, Mike Mahal? Well, why is that funny? That's a serious question. Doesn't Florida have medical usage legalized? I believe so. I think that's what he's talking about. That is Mike Mahal. Mike Mahal, if you are talking about the weedsies, let me know. And yes, they do have dispensaries here. It is legalized here as far as medicinal use. Not recreational, but they do have it as medicinal. Kind of helps a little bit with the nausea and all that stuff too. Not something I like to do during the day. Not since I was young. All right, Foxy Epoxy. I like that name. Says, I have PTSD myself. I'm not going to say that word. I said I wasn't going to curse this whole time. But it's shite. Shite is no joke. I could say that because that's like slang in a different country. So I'll say that. No, it is not a joke. It's not fun at all. It does weird things to your brain, gives you anxiety, and then it kind of kicks your brain into high gear and kind of makes you think about things that you had never thought about before. It's not a fun thing, not a fun way to live. All right, that jeweler guy said same boat, had a massive motorcycle accident about 9 years ago, have been a hypochondriac ever since. Don't know why that is. Like, we get into this stuff, and I'm sure you probably still ride motorcycles too, right? Because that's how it usually goes. Like, we'll do the things we do, we have an accident, and then we continue doing those things, and we end up worrying more about other things. And I don't know if it's just because, like, you come close to death. And it's been 3 times for me that I've been told, like, hey, you should probably call your family and all that stuff. And it kind of, like, makes you hyper-focused and hyper-aware that, it seems like 2 days ago I was still 10 years old. And now I'm 36 years old and it seems like a blink of an eye. So, like, time goes by really fast and you want to be able to get the most out of life, but you're also, like, hyper focused on the fact that you're getting older, things can happen, and you're not as, quite as invincible as you once thought you were. When I was young and in my 20s doing all the gator stuff and whatnot, and for as many times as I've been bit, which I can't even count, and I don't even care to mention how many times I have been bit by alligators and stuff. It was never a big deal to me. It was always something that was just part of the job, and I always thought, like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? It wasn't until the arm thing that I gained the respect that I really needed to have beforehand working with these animals, because of how many times I got away with, like, the craziest things and getting bit and having very little to no injury because of it. And then you really get rolled over, you miss half your arm, and then you get told that you're going to die, and things start to kind of come together where your brain just pushes it in a way where, you don't want anything bad to happen, but it's not necessarily what caused it. It's everything in life that kind of then brings on your hypochondriac side where you always think you're going to be sick. That's why never Google if you're sick. I did that once, and the diseases that I thought that I had, it could have been leprosy, could have been all kinds of stuff. You just don't put that into a search bar. Go to a doctor. All right, Onyx Cut said, had a cottonmouth for a year that was given to me as a newborn. Shocked on how non-defensive it is. Hardly a tail. Oh, let me get back to that. Hardly a tail rattler. Any advice on cottonmouths? As a matter of fact, Onyx Cuts, I'm gonna do a video on cottonmouths just for you, just because I have one here at the house. I always keep my good old native venomous over here. So I have a big old cottonmouth. We'll do a whole episode on that. And she is not sweet. She is not born here with me. I don't even think she was born in captivity. I think she was rescued off of somebody's property, but I got her a little while back when Jeremy left his property. And she's a feisty little booger, but I have plenty of information on that, plenty of advice. We'll do a whole episode on just native venomous snakes, and we'll do that sometime next week, especially because we're going to go to Pepe's, and he's got the diamondback over there, and then maybe we'll do a little pygmy hunting, so I'll get a whole episode put together for you. It looks like you got your little cottonmouth in the picture, unless that's a cantil. That might be a cantil in your picture. That's a little small. Mike Mahal said, yeah, that's what he was talking about. Thank you very much over there. Peanut Gallery, that's what he was talking about. And yes, it is. Okay, all right. We got another little super chat here. Rebecca Wall, thank you very much. She just said just to help out a little bit. Sorry, I can't be more. Never apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think you guys even realize how much it means to me that anybody helps at all. It baffles the mind every time I see it. You guys are amazing. It doesn't make a difference. Every little single bit helps, whether it's to get food for the animals, supplies, whatever it may be. You guys have no idea the crunch that we've been in since I came over and we got this property. It has been an absolute nightmare financially, and just putting the business back together, and the area being what it is. It's just been extremely a lot of pressure, but we're gonna get through it just the same as we always do, and never apologize for it not being enough. You guys do more than you could ever possibly imagine. Even just hanging out with me, listening to me ramble, which I do far too much, means a lot to me, more than you guys will ever know. All right, we got one here, Badger and Poppy Art Studio. Justin, I wanted to say big thank you for my birthday wishes last weekend. Made a crap weekend good, and 36 is still young. I'm old enough to be your dad and totally broken down now. I'm right there behind you. Trust me, my buddy. I'll tell you this, my mind, I guess, is still young. My body is hitting like 90 something years old. What I do, speaking of birthdays, I'm glad you said that, my buddy. I believe that's Rob. I wanted to make a shout out to Christopher. If Christopher's watching, your mom loves you very much, even though you're not a little kid anymore. You're a teenager now, so you're growing up. Appreciate your younger years. Appreciate those teenage years. They're the best ones you're going to get, I promise. But Christopher, happy birthday today. I hope you guys are watching. I got that message a little earlier on Facebook, so I wanted to give a little shout out to Christopher. It's his birthday today. If everybody wants to say happy birthday to Christopher. Your mom loves you very much. Hopefully that didn't embarrass you guys too much. All right. Amanda Lynn says, I have PTSD and suicidal thoughts. Just attempted suicide recently. Was hospitalized in a psych ward for a couple of days. Amanda Lynn, I will tell you this. Your mental health is extremely important. Always is, always will be. PTSD is going to lead to thoughts that you don't want. Trust me, I've had the thoughts myself. However, I will tell you this. If you ever, I listened to a podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. It's about all kinds of things macabre and, whether it's all kinds of stuff. It's just like all across the board. You should listen to them. Last Podcast on the Left, they all have their issues as well, and you can relate to them. And they basically always say in every single episode, they bring it up. They bring up the mental health issues and stuff, and they basically say the same as I do, is always keep an eye on it. Always, like, I've had those thoughts before. They're passing thoughts. make them be passing thoughts. If they're not passing thoughts, definitely get in contact with somebody, talk to somebody about it. It definitely makes it easier when you speak it, get it out of your brain, get it out of your head, talk about what's bothering you. We got people sending you hearts and stuff right now. There's always going to be somebody out there that's going through the same thing. So you are not alone. Here we go. We got everybody out here. But your mom says, "Hey, daddy." Oh my God.
Do you know who that is?
I don't know. That's my kid? Oh my God. Michaela, hi. Perfect name for a choice. But back to Amanda. Amanda, you got a lot of people out here sending you hugs and loves. Definitely 100%. Like, reach out if there's, I think betterhelp.com was one of them. There's a couple of good sites. I tried the betterhelp.com one time, and it was, therapy is hard for me. I tend to like to talk to my friends a lot more. So I don't know if you're more comfortable with that or the opposite side of like a therapist or whatever, but there's so much out there. Just if you ever get to that point where you think that that's what you're going to do and that's like really we're going to go with it, please reach out before you do any of that stuff. We don't want to see anything bad happen to you. You are loved by a lot of people on here, including myself. Just remember that. Always remember that. So Amanda, just reach out if you ever need it. That's the best I could say right there about that. And again, like I said, I suffer with the same stuff, so I can relate 150%. When and where is Chandler's podcast? So he's been trying to get on top of the Chandler's podcast thing here for a couple of weeks. I do believe within the next 2 weeks we'll probably sit down and do it. He's got his buddy that's setting up like the sound equipment and all that good stuff, and then we have to pin Tyler down as well because I know he wants to do like the first episode. He wants to talk about the bites and stuff since we've all experienced the same thing. Some of us more than others. But at the same time, like he wants to get that done relatively quickly. So I think we're going to be doing that within the next 2 weeks. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll keep everybody posted too. I'll post it on the Facebook, Instagram. I'll post it on Patreon. I'll post it up on here. I'm sure he'll post it up everywhere. He's going to have a far longer reach than I do. So you guys will see. All right, let me see what else we got here real quick. I think I had a little super here. We got Deb Zachary Cozy Kennels, $49.99. Thank you very much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the help. See, Kiki Rose right here. Kiki Rose has been around for a long time. I like Kiki over here. She says, I also have PTSD. I had it before my spider bite last year, but almost dying from it has exacerbated it even more. Yep, not a joke. Not a joke at all. So definitely, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on your mental health. I always say that. Sometimes somehow all the lives come back into that, but I do think it's extremely important. And even though you guys see me doing what I'm doing, every post is happy, even my boys and all that stuff, we all go through the same stuff. We just don't show it online. I may show it online. My other boys definitely do not show it online, but everybody goes through the same stuff. Everybody is going to have moments in time where they're not doing well. Depression hits, especially when we get older. You're going to have stress, pressure of life, especially right now in today's economy, which sucks across the board. I was going to say something, but I didn't curse. I didn't do it. And you just really have to pay attention to all that, especially in days like this. So just be careful, my friends, and just, be aware. Be aware. Right, let's see what else we got here. We still got a bunch of hugs for Amanda and everybody. We got David Gurwitz. Again, like button. Don't forget to smash it. Smash the like button. I don't know if it does anything. I think it does. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess smash the like button. Smash it. Don't break your phone, though. Darshana, there's my Miss Darshana right there. My lovely Darshana. She says, we love rambling Rambo, Justin, Tarzan. I think I ramble a little bit too much. There's a bunch of birthdays for Christopher, a bunch of hi Bellas. Bella's famous now. Bella, 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 Bella. Then we got some more Christophers, some more Amanda Lynn's. We got the Boss Bird. Justin live in VR is definitely an experience. All right, Bill Denny says, Justin, I'm going to message you about your stone, dude. The urology nurse in me wants to know where it's located and the size and shape, different levels to treating them. Some not so bad. Hit me up, brother. Anything that's going to help me pass this stone through a small space. would be phenomenal. I hear it's a lot of fun. What are you whatevering for?
I'm the kidney queen.
You don't even have a kidney anymore. How are you the kidney queen? You ruined your kidney. Your kidney is gone.
Stone queen. So,
You're the kidney
on
still.
here,
Yeah.
crying.
You didn't pass it. They had to take it out. All right.
Make sure you pass yours.
All right. Bill, hit me up. I want to know how to
Somebody
pass
wants
that
to know
out.
where your shows are in November.
Somebody had asked where the shows are in November. That was caught by somebody else from me. Real quick, Amanda Lynn said, thanks for all the love. Thanks, Justin. Much love to you. Much love right back at you, Amanda Lynn. Remember, keep your head up. Life is not always pleasant. I promise you, mine isn't either. But definitely keep your head up. The shows in November. So there is shows in November. That's November 3rd and 4th. That's the beginning of it, of like the whole process. They're all at the Seminoles. I see a question from Nick too. I'm going to get to that in a second. It's all Seminole shows. So we have the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Season for like wildlife stuff usually ends around the beginning of summer and starts like November, December, and then really picks up in like February all the way till the next like June, July. So that's really when all the stuff starts. So we have a lot of shows coming up. April 3rd and 4th is at Big Cypress, and that is at the Atatiki Museum. It's hard to spell, but if you search up Seminole Museum, you'll see Atatiki, and it's got a bunch of dashes. It's a Seminole word. So if you want to look that up, it'll show you the events that they have. April 3rd and 4th, there's a wildlife show plus an alligator show, and that's 2 times a day, every single day. So 2 wildlife shows, 2 alligator shows, and again, that's April 3rd and 4th. So if you guys want to go out there and check it out. I'm sorry, I always say April. I don't know why. November 3rd and 4th. I've said that to my mother. I put that on my invoice. I've done it all the way across the board. It is. I fell out of the tree, and now it's April. Everything is April. November 3rd and 4th is the beginning of it. Then we have other shows in November. I think at the end of October, I'm doing a show over there for DJ Khaled's kid, which I think that'll be pretty cool. I don't think the DJ Khaled one is going to be an open event, but the other ones are open. So April 3rd and 4th, if you want to go to Big Cypress and check out a Seminole event, they're obviously going to have Seminole food there. So you're going to have Native American food. You're going to have a bunch of stuff as far as Native American Seminole history. You're going to have a bunch of other tribes that are going to come out as well. I think they're going to do a powwow. So we're going to have I think the Maori tribe is going to be out there doing stuff. What are you laughing at over there? We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, November 3rd and 4th, and then I'll keep you guys updated on other dates as well. For anybody that's interested in seeing the FAWC, which is the Freestyle Alligator Wrestling Competition, we do those in February. That's in Brighton. Brighton is another Seminole reservation. So Seminole in Florida, the Seminole tribe has Hollywood, there's Big Cypress, there's Immokalee, there's Brighton, and then there's Tampa. Most of the events are in Hollywood, BC, and Brighton. So Brighton is the field day. That is when everybody does the alligator wrestling and stuff. I myself will not be doing it this year since I have retired for many years. I think 4 or 5 times I retired. But this year is very special. My buddy James had passed away, and he was the one that spearheaded that with his brother Clinton. And Clinton is going to be continuing that, and we're going to be helping him continue that. And it's going to be the James Holt Invitational, we're going to be calling it this year. I may compete for that one in honor of James. For any other one, I'll be judging. But I don't think I'm going to compete the whole thing. I think I'm just going to do one day at the end and not do anything too crazy or anything like that. What? That's for James. That's my boy. So we're going to do that. But we'll keep you guys updated on those events. Let me get back here. I got to scroll back a little bit. There was Nick. I'm sorry, I can't see I'm not going to be able to catch the rest of your name, but I remember your question. He had asked, I believe he asked something about false water cobras always hiding. And yeah, most of those guys are always, if you give them the option to have a hide, especially if it's in a high traffic area, like if like this room has a couple enclosures over here with just like a little box turtle and a little bearded dragon for the kids and stuff like that, and then the venomous, some of the venomous is going to go in here. But if it's high traffic and people are in and out, the snake is probably going to choose to hide unless it's super well socialized And I don't know the story behind the snake, if it's a brand new snake, and then just kind of let it hide, do its thing, make sure it's eating, and then over time you could start handling more and more and more, and eventually that snake may not hide as much. But that's not like rule of thumb. I have a lot of cobras that I had owned for years and years and years, and a lot of different snakes that were non-venomous as well, that were super sweet, but if they had the opportunity to hide, I could put them in a giant room. I could put them in this whole room as an enclosure, put a hide box right in the middle of the floor, and chances are you're going to find them under the hide box in the middle of the floor. It's what they're born and bred to do. Most snakes, when they're outside in the wild, that's why when we go like snake hunting, and not like killing snakes, but snake hunting to find snakes and stuff, we're going to go at night, right when the sun's going down or right when the sun's coming up, because you can road cruise, because they're going to be coming out to the roads to be able to gain that heat energy to heat up the bellies, get direct sunlight on the pavement, and the pavement itself is going to be warm. And then later on in the day, if you want to find snakes like midday and it's super hot outside, you're constantly flipping stuff. That's why all these douche canoes, and I say that with all due respect, but these douche canoes go out there in the middle of nowhere to some of these trails that we go, and they throw old mattresses and couches and shit all over the place so that they can flip it and find snakes later, which I get it, because you want to find the snakes, but also I almost did it. Don't trash the Everglades just because you want to find some snakes. You can flip a rock just as easily as you can flip a bed. But I get it. It's a lot of space. It's wide or whatever. Don't trash what we have out here just to find some snakes. All right.
Another question? One more?
Yeah, shoot me some questions since I'm missing everything.
What are your thoughts on iguana man? Negative or positive?
What are my thoughts on iguana man? I don't know what iguana man is. What is iguana man? So anybody who asked about iguana man, and can somebody let me know who the hell is that? Da, 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 da. No, I was just laughing to myself. Kaylee Lynn, or Kyle, is it? It's Kaylee. Kaylee Lynn. She said, well, I finally made her live. LOL, is it over? We're close to over, but you're going to catch the last end of it here. I did it at a different time because I was trying to find a different time so that other people could join in as well. Kaylee Lynn, you can watch this. I'm going to repost it. I apologize that you're getting here at the butt end of it, but yeah, we're getting towards the end of it, but we're doing a little Q&A right now. So we did some venomous snakes, we did some other stuff, and now we're doing some Q&A. The question was, how do I feel about iguana man? And iguana man does what?
He kills iguanas with a spike.
He kills iguanas with a spike?
Shoots iguanas with a spike.
Like for funsies, or?
Yeah.
All right, so here, Melissa says not humanely. Is this a YouTube channel thing? Like, does this guy do, like, okay, so here, this is kind of gonna, it'll get into,
Ramble?
not a ramble, mofo. That's what I do naturally. This will kind of get into what I was going to be talking about with the FWC stuff and people that talk about FWC. Melissa says yes. Okay, so it's inhumane and it's on YouTube. So this is my thoughts. YouTube has all these, it's an algorithm. You can't do a bunch of stuff. Like, I try not to curse now, because just like on my last live, they'll throw your ads down and they won't, you can't get paid on ads or anything like that. A lot of people do this to try and make a little bit of money. I'm no different. I enjoy it, and we make, I mean, you can look it up now. You can see what people make on YouTube, and I think somebody got angry at me one time because they thought we were raking in the dough, but it's like $100 here, $100 there. Some people make a lot of money doing this. Hunters are no different. And, when they go out there and they do this stuff, I can't say that I disagree with hunting. I eat meat. But at the same time, like, I grew up with the Seminoles, so if they were to kill an animal, they will use that entire animal. That's just their belief system. That's how they've grown up. That's how they've been taught or whatever. You don't waste. So you don't just shoot something. Like a lot of people here, we saw one when I first moved in here. When I first moved into this place, there was a 10-foot alligator on the side of the road with his tail lopped off, and we have a couple of alligators that have had that have been able to survive. Very rarely do they survive.
but somebody cut the tail off and threw the alligator out. I went over to see if the alligator was alive. It was not alive. It was dead on the side of the road. So it's a waste of an animal. You killed the animal to take the tail on a 10-foot alligator, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever had alligator meat, it never comes from an animal over 4 feet. That's not a 10-foot animal that's, 50, 60, 70 years old that you're eating that meat from. It's from a farmed animal, not a big, huge one caught in the wild. So for people that hunt, I can't say that I disagree with it. I myself can't bring myself to do it. I could barely bring myself to feed live when I have to. I don't like to watch it. I don't like to see it. But having said that, like, I have friends that hunt. I have friends that do that stuff. But at the same time, they're respectful to the animals that they do it with, and they don't hunt just for fun. They hunt to eat. They hunt to feed their family. They hunt and they use every bit of the animal that they possibly can. And so I can't say that I disagree with that. As far as the iguana man guy just hunting just to shoot iguanas, I know that there are people that do eat iguana meat. I don't think that there's any places that are buying any iguana meat. So it's basically just shooting iguanas to shoot iguanas. To do that as like a kind of, this is fun, let me put it up on YouTube so everybody could see this. Like, no, I can't say that I would agree with it. Hard to shoot an iguana and get a kill shot that is not unhumane or inhumane. It's hard to do. I've seen a lot of videos, especially when they made it legal to hunt these iguanas here in Florida, because basically what happens is when the news cycle picks up something here in Florida, that's when it becomes a problem. We've had pythons here since the early 90s. We've had iguanas here since the early 50s, maybe even before that. And we have a bunch of other different invasive species as well. A lot of the other invasive species never get mentioned. They're not banned. You can still own them, the whole 9 yards. But iguanas and big snakes, you can no longer have. Because what happens is the news cycle takes it, and once the news cycle takes it, then everybody and their brother here in Florida has a problem with it because they saw it on the news. So there's a lot of misinformation, because we all know the news isn't exactly accurate in everything that they say. So once they declared that there was an issue with iguanas and there was an issue with big snakes, now we see the killing of big snakes and we see the killing of iguanas. And here's what pisses me off. So we have people that made videos about this Holy Thursday massacre with FWC. So with all of that's going on, and this Holy Thursday massacre, the jeweler guy, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. I see it. The Holy Thursday massacre was basically a guy that owned some snakes, Bill McAdams, and this other guy, Chris, who I know and I've known for a while. They claim that they're pets and all that good stuff, and I'm sure that they cared a little bit about their snakes, but these aren't the type of people that, that's not their pets. They're not taking these things out. They don't love and care for these things the same way that you and I might, or the same way that some people do. This was a money project. These are all money projects. It's basically raise the snake as fast as you can, power feed it, grow it up, breed it, try and make some money. If you can't make some money, get rid of the snake, period, end of story. It was like 30 snakes that happened in the Holy Thursday massacre. And the only reason I'm going to talk about this is because when I sold my reptile business, I had like 1,100 reptiles in the house, and we were moving over to the park so that I could curate the park and have a little bit more time. It took me probably 3 weeks to get rid of, I don't want to say get rid of, but to place all the animals that I had that I wasn't going to keep. And some of those went to Germany. Some of those went over to different parts of the UK. Some of those went over to South America. Some of those went over to the other side of the country. They were spread out, but it didn't take me long to place all these animals at places that I knew that my animals were going to be well cared for, at really, really good facilities. So you can't tell me, anybody out there can't tell me that it would take that long to place 30 snakes. You got 30 snakes. You can call Bob Clark. You could call a couple other people that do YouTube outside the state of Florida. I guarantee you it would probably take you a full 10 minutes to figure out who could take those snakes. And if you cared about them, then you shouldn't care about the money, because when I sold my business, I sold it for a fraction of what it was worth, because I wanted my animals to go to the right places. I didn't care about the money. I cared that the animals went to the right places, so that I knew that they were going to be cared for. I knew that they weren't going to hurt. I knew that they weren't going to want for anything. I knew that they were going to be good. So at the end of the day, basically what happened was all the animals got placed. I took a hit on the money, but I was okay with that. I was going into the park. I was going to have a little bit more time. We were going to curate the park, and then I was going to have the ability to do things that I hadn't been able to do for years because I've been working 17, 18-hour days. So to have 30 snakes and not be able to place those in 14 months, and then to set up cameras and have FWC come in and do what they did when you didn't have to set up cameras, they could have taken those snakes to the facility where they do that, and everybody's up in arms. But here's the deal. Just like this iguana guy, he's killing iguanas every single day, and we see it, we don't like it. At the end of the day, there's hundreds of thousands of pythons that are getting killed in the same method that those other snakes got killed every single day. But because they're wild, they're invasive and whatnot, that's okay. But because they went into this guy's house and used the same method, it wasn't okay. And I know they had the vets up there talking. I know they had a couple other people speaking on the subject, and USARK was definitely picking that up. And I think it was more that was the reason that this went down the way that it did, because those snakes could have easily been placed relatively easily without having those snakes dead. I think that was more a publicity stunt. I think it was a PR thing for USARK to basically show like, okay, FWC is evil. These people are evil. They're trying to take everything we have. They're trying to take everything we own. They're trying to do everything they can to put us out of business and all that stuff. When the fact of the matter is that's just not true. Having said that, anybody that hunts and does it for fun and thinks that it's entertainment to watch an animal sit and suffer like that, I can't get behind in any way, shape, or form. Man, we really went like on a long rant with that one. But no, like I can't agree with that. I can't get behind it. Like I can get behind somebody that hunts for a reason, but I can't get behind somebody that hunts just to have a good laugh and torture some animals. Like I can't stand it. I can't watch an animal suffer in pain. I don't want to watch a person suffer in pain or an animal. Like it's just not my cup of tea. Like not at all. All right, so that jeweler guy said hunt bear and deer, use every bit of the meat, short of the lymph system, and can't stand people who hunt for sport, views, and also see the worst dumping in the woods up north here. People are, he's saying the S word, I want to say it so bad. But yeah, he's 100% correct. Like most of the hunters that I know have the same mentality. Like they want their land clean. They want their areas that they go out to. They don't want to look at a bunch of trash and garbage. They hunt what they need. They don't hunt for sport. They don't go out there and shoot an elephant so they can hang it on their wall and do nothing with it. Like this is stuff that they hunt because they've done it for their whole entire lives, but they also grew up hunting and learning the balance of life to be able to use the entire animal, not let it go to waste, and have respect for the animal while you're doing this sort of thing, which I think is extremely important. Again, I can't do it. It's just not in me. But again, I don't disagree with it. And that's the take that you should have if you're hunting. Like Ben Register, you guys probably all know him at Gatorama. He hunts all the time. And anything that he doesn't use goes to the crocodiles. Everything else goes to, eating. And then tools he'll make. And then we do stuff with the skulls for educational purposes. The whole animal gets used. So that's the mentality that you should have. There's good old Cat. There's good old Cat over here. Grannies for gators. Love you, Brooke, and your girls. What about me? I got left out of that one.
She said love you.
Oh, okay. All right. You did. Yeah, okay. I got it. I got it. Love you, Cat. Doc John. Dr. Shetler. The man of the hour. Coyotes. What about coyotes? He's probably talking about hunting. Dr. John hunts too, and he's a vet. But Dr. John hunts responsibly, and he's up in Illinois on a huge plot of land with him and his buddies out there, and they do hunt as well. And believe it or not, he is one of the best vets that I have ever met, and a good friend of mine. But yeah, so back to the whole iguana thing or whatever. Like that's how it is, man. Like some people hunt for good reasons, and some people hunt for bad reasons. Tactical Peacock, sup? Vet John, sup? You guys are coming in at the very end. Mary says, people suck. Nobody wants to obey the rules, but everyone should obey rules. Yeah, 100%. That's why we have them in place. And then also on top of that, like we have we get laws that get changed for stupid people doing stupid things, and then it affects the people that do things correctly, and then they come after people, and then people get tangled up in a mess of like courtrooms and all kinds of stuff just for stupidity, when for the most part, generally, most everybody out there is doing the right things, following the laws, hunting during season, doing their thing during season, and then, you know, when it's off season, they're not out there trying to break laws or anything like that. They're not trashing the place. They don't throw garbage everywhere and all that good stuff. They generally take care of the environment. And some of these things, like when you get into like a feral species and things like that. Like in Australia, they do the cats, and that's a really touchy subject. Anytime you get like, it's okay to kill iguanas, it's okay to kill other stuff, but if you kill something fluffy and cute or whatever, then you're no good. But they hunt the cats over there because of the problem over there. So can wood snakes eat iguanas? Absolutely. That's Jennifer Lab Mama says, she was asking if snakes can eat iguanas, and yes, 100%. That is part of the natural diet out there now here in Florida for a lot of the snakes and a lot of the animals that we have here. We have big fish that'll eat small iguanas, birds that eat iguanas. There's a video on my Facebook right now when we were driving past my brother's house with a little red shoulder hawk eating iguana out here. So yes, snakes eat them. All kinds of stuff out here eats iguanas here in Florida. Bill says, I need a chainsaws and vertigo t-shirt now. That's actually probably a really good idea. I'm going to keep that one in the back of my head. Vet John said, you also saw the monkey that got loose and went to LHP. That's something. All right, so Dr. Shetler sent me this the other day. So here in Florida, we do have populations of these monkeys, and this is actually really interesting. Thanks, John, for the topic. I appreciate you, big guy. So we have macaque monkeys. Usually it's Reese's macaques, not the kind of macaques I have. Generally the same thing. They just look a little bit bigger. They look a little bit different. Mine are Java, so they're smaller, but they're crab-eating macaques technically. So that jeweler guy, I'm going to see you here in a second. I'll get back to that. But we also have vervets or green monkeys here in Florida. So this happened a long time ago, but we have a population in Dania Beach, and then we also have a population up in Silver Springs. Every single year, FWC calls me because they want me to take in some of these animals. And I always say no because the risk of herpes B is very high with these wild primates. So we go on and we kill all the snakes, all the Nile monitors, everything out there on the reptile side. But when it comes to the monkeys, because they look like us, they're furry, they're cute, FWC will not put a kill order on the monkeys, even though they are far more dangerous than having the pythons and stuff out there. Now, generally, like in the Silver Springs and the Dania Beach localities that they're hanging out at, they really don't bother people. They're super shy, so they'll take off into the mangroves anytime you get really close. But if you get herpes B, which most of these guys are carrying, a lot of them were from laboratory testing facilities and things like that. That's where the populations came from. But if you were to get herpes B, like there's no coming back from that. I did a lot of research on herpes B when I first got macaques over a decade ago, and it's pretty interesting to see all the information out there. There hasn't been a recorded case, I believe, since like the late 90s, but if you read into what herpes B can do, it can literally like destroy you very slowly, and you're not can monkeys herpes B virus be transmitted to humans? Jennifer Lab Mom asked. Yes, and that's the problem. So if we have our herpes, like a cold sore, we can give that to the monkeys. That could be detrimental to the monkeys, where we can handle that. Vice versa, the monkeys could have their herpes B, and they can't give it to you 24/7 if they have it. But if they're shedding the virus, then you can get that herpes B. And if you get herpes B, read what happens when you get that. It's actually it's terrifying. It's 100% terrifying, and it's basically 48 hours of a slow death. The last recorded case, I think, was in 1998 at a laboratory testing facility. A terrible story, hard to read, and then it made me extra careful with what I have. So now we have this little vervet monkey, which looks like the macaques with a darker face, running around Lighthouse Point. That's LHP. That's what John was talking about. And so the news caught wind of that, and we got videos of that, and they said that the little man is looking for love. So I'm unsure if that monkey was somebody's pet or at somebody's facility and it got out around there. because I mean that's a long way to travel. Like Lighthouse Point from Dania Beach is probably, I would say, at least 45 minutes in a car. So it's a long way. And then Silver Springs is another 5 hours after that. So between those two areas, like it's hard to tell if somebody lost a monkey and or if this is one of the population here in Florida. But I get the phone call every year if I could take these monkeys. They offer to build enclosures and pay for it. But the reality is that I couldn't risk my animals here because technically if I bring them here and they are carrying that virus and they do start shedding that virus and my monkeys get virus, that means that I can't go in with my monkeys anymore and my monkeys could also potentially suffer extreme consequences from that. Damn, that was a good topic. Thank you, John. Also, John, I'll be calling you after this about your pool supplies. That is on another note that nobody knows what I'm talking about. But yes, my brother called for your Mora and your other little pool vacuum. So I got that covered for you, big guy. I figured I'd use this live chat here on YouTube to go over what we got going on for your pool. All right, the jeweler guy says conservationist. Damn autocorrect, laughing my ass off. Hold on, let me go back to the other one. Good hunters tend to be huge conservationists, and he is not wrong when he says that. Most hunters out there do care a lot more than a lot of the people here in this industry. It's odd to say that, but when you get into this industry and you see the bad and the good, you do realize that a lot of the hunters will take care of the land around us, which is the best way to save everything, a lot more than the people in the industry here do. So it's 100% true what he says. Michelle Renee, it's so hard to read. That jeweler guy conservation, damn autocorrect. I think it just overlapped the jeweler guy's thing. Oh, she's saying thanks for being you and I am so confused at how this new sticker system works. Oh, there we go, Vet John with another awesome topic. Man, I'm just gonna have you on the. We could do this together next time. I'm just gonna bring you on. Everybody loves you anyway. All right, so that croc came up here in LHP, came from Miami or from Daytona area. So Vet John once again back with another good topic. So we have, if you look it up, there's a big crocodile that's been spotted a bunch of times in Lighthouse Point and has been at like Pompano Pier. Big boy too, just cruising around. Super gorgeous. Somebody got a good shot on top of the pier of that guy swimming along underneath the pier and then kind of disappearing into the water. Super clear water, which is why those American crocodiles are the color that they are. We have our American alligators that are all black in color on top, because if you're looking down in the murky water from the top, as an animal, you're not going to see that animal. And then from the bottom, they have the white belly. So if you're looking from underneath towards the sun and the sky, you're not going to see it because it's the white belly that blends in with that. So our crocodiles here, as opposed to like the Jamaica or South American bloodline, tend to be a lot more green in color. Not green, yeah, kind of like light greenish, brownish color in there. And it's so that they can camouflage in their areas. A lot of times, like most of our croc population, we have like maybe 3,500, maybe 4,000 now, because I know they hatched another 500 this year, I think, at the croc docks with like Mike Lorette and Frank Mazzotti and all those guys down there that do big work with Turkey Point and like the Florida Keys and all that with the population that we have down there. Most of our American crocodiles are way down there. Every once in a while, we will get one that will travel. I think the farthest one has traveled is like South Carolina. That one, that individual is actually sitting at Gatorama right now. But oftentimes they do come north. So you really do have to pay attention whether you're at the beach or anywhere else here in Florida with any body of water when it comes to all that stuff. Because we could have alligators, crocodiles, sharks, you name it. Here in Florida, we have it. All right, real quick, we're gonna end this here soon. And let me see what we got here. Huh? Let me see. Everybody loves John. Vet John. All right. The ones that shown on the news had a tracker tagged glued to its neck. Yeah, a lot of times with these American crocs, you'll see either their scoots cut on the back of the tail, so they'll cut scoots to make sure that those are theirs that they produced and they hatched. And then when they get a little bit larger and they can use a tag, they'll usually put a tracker, sometimes right on top of the head, sometimes on the back of the tail. But we always see that. John had sent me some pictures that somebody had sent him, I think, or he got from somewhere where you could see actual tag on that animal. And it basically means that Florida's already been contacted for that animal. It's already been a tagged animal. It's a tracked animal. So it's not like alligators. If you see a crocodile in your backyard here in Florida and you make a phone call to the SNAP line, which is basically the alligator removal line. So if you have a nuisance alligator, you call that line, somebody comes out, traps the alligator, takes it. Most of the time that gets killed. Sometimes people like me will get it. And then it'll be at a facility or live with me for the rest of its life. With the crocodiles, it's different. Those guys will get a phone call and then they're observed, and sometimes they're tagged, sometimes they're already tagged, but they're left alone. And then after that, if they get another phone call, then they will be caught and relocated. And then if they make their way back to that same area or roundabouts that same area, and I believe get a third phone call, don't quote me on all this, I think I'm close, but not 100%. But after that third phone call, then the crocodile, the American crocodile, is caught and not killed. It's never dispatched, but then they'll go down their list of people of who can keep those animals, and they'll either place them at a zoo or a private facility, and then the American crocodile lives the rest of its life in captivity. They are not killed because it is technically a vulnerable animal that was taken off the endangered species list here in Florida at like 2011. All right, so we've been rambling for an hour and a half. I am done, ladies and gentlemen. My throat is done. I'm sure you guys are done listening to me. I can't believe as many of you guys have stayed on here as you have. John, I love you, big guy. I'm going to call you here shortly. Keep it easy. Keep it greasy, if you know what I mean. And we'll talk about your pool equipment here soon. Everybody else, I love you guys. Peace, love, and chicken grease, as we used to say. Amanda Lane, if you're still on there, stay up. Mother Duck said something real quick. Hello from the UK. Do you plan on ever coming here? I plan on visiting a lot of places. Whether or not I'm ever going to get there, who knows? Really hard to travel when you got all these animals. However, one day maybe I'll get lucky enough to do some traveling. But as far as right now, probably not within the next year or so. We got a lot of work to do. But again, love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you guys for the topics. Dr. John, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the topics of your own. I appreciate you very much. Love you, big guy. Always will. My brother from another mother. And everybody else out there, stay good, stay peace. Love yourselves. Love everybody else. Positive vibes. Peace. All right, I know where the end button is this time too, guys. Boom, how about that?